Who's ever watched television? Okay, so when you're watching a TV show, you're very engrossed, right? Until what happens? Commercial. Then you're like, what? Bullshit filter goes up. You're like, ugh, they're going to sell me something. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go get some food. So what they started to do, they realized nobody's watching the commercials anymore. So they started to seed into the show. What are they doing? They're on an Apple computer, drinking Starbucks, talking. And you're like, oh, I kind of feel like a Starbucks right now. Right? Because they're not selling it to you. The main character's drinking Starbucks. And I remember on Friends, they'd always have their Starbucks or whatever, maybe whatever it was. Yeah. So the point is, you're going to see. And then embedded commands. Now, there's a lot of ways to do embedded commands. I'm going to show you one I used to use in the stock market seminars. So this is a double meaning, but watch. I taught people how to make money in the stock market. One way is sideways. When the markets go sideways, it's called a consolidation pattern. And I would say there's a floor, which is your support, and there's a ceiling, which is your resistance. You want to make money by buying at the floor on the bounce and selling at the ceiling. That's how you make money. You can do this multiple times, but here's the real big money. When it breaks out of this pattern, it goes into an uptrend. The big money is made when it breaks out. So what we want to do to make the big money is buy at the break. What do we do to make the money?
Buy at the break.
Everybody, what do we do?
Buy
at the break. So I'm telling you how to make money is you buy on a breakout in the stock market, but I'm also giving it a double meaning called an embedded command. We're going to take a break in 15 minutes, and by the way, I'm going to have a program that I want you to all go purchase. When are you going to buy? At the break. Do you get it? So what I'm saying is you're going to make the big money when you buy at the break. So as an example of an embedded command telling you what to do without your conscious knowing what you're being told what to do. Why do you do that? Because human beings use the conscious mind, which causes them a lot of damage. A lot of what you're thinking is bullshit. So therefore, if I know that this program is going to help you make money, you're going to get yourself caught up like a commercial and go, it's bullshit. But if I seed it in there, if I embed it, you're not thinking that. You're thinking, oh, if I want to make money, I should buy a break. But you're already, oh yeah, buy a break. So your conscious mind is getting past that. It's going to your subconscious mind. Make sense? Now it's really interesting. I suggest you all, this is how powerful it is. You don't think you can speak? There's a documentary that just came out called Push. It's on Netflix. They can program through hypnosis a human being who would not be violent within a very short time to go assassinate somebody. Have you ever heard of these programs like Bobby Kennedy getting shot by the guy that doesn't remember it all? I already studied this, but now Darren Brown, a great illusionist from London, has proven that you can take somebody and you can cause them to go kill somebody they don't remember. This is how powerful our brains are and how a lot of people can be very influenced by simple stuff. And they can do this in 90 minutes, which means, do you think you can learn how to speak?
Yes.
Absolutely. So don't believe the bullshit that I'm not good enough. The fact is you are amazing, but also you can be programmed by a bunch of crap and you don't even know what's going on. This is important to understand how your brain works. That's why I study this stuff like crazy, because it intrigues me. Because we are not our brains, but they can be programmed. It's really interesting. Storytelling. We teach you to tell stories because throughout history, the way we've learned to communicate is not by reading or writing, but storytelling, right? And you get engrossed in stories. So your whole presentation should be a lot of stories. I've been telling you a lot of stories, yes or no?
Yes.
I tell you stories. Why? Because then you think about it and you relate to it. And then I can craft the story where it actually impacts you to make the right decisions. And it's called story selling. And by the way, when we tell stories, we want to not narrate all the time. Like, so when I was a kid, my dad, he pulled a gun and he shot. Like, people tell stories like it's so boring. So we'll teach you even how to get more in depth on the story. For example, when I teach you at the training and I get into my real story about my mom and dad, I'm going to take you on a deeper journey. And I'll get tears out of your eyes. I'll get you moving because you're going to feel like you were there. And when you do that with your audiences, they'll cry, they'll laugh, and they connect. And now they trust you because they feel you. Your body knows truth. It feels it. Your brain knows bullshit. It doesn't know it's true or not. Because these are just noises. Here, your heart is the truth. The Institute of Heart Math says our heart is the biggest electromagnetic field in our body. We can move into coherence with other people by just moving our energy to our heart. That's the center. Too many people think this is the important part. This is not. This is a tool. The real you is here. People don't get it because they've been disconnected. I learned I got disconnected. Reconnect. So creating an irresistible offer. You want to make an offer that's so good that people think, wow, I got to do this. This is such a great deal. In fact, if I don't do it, I'll be stupid. I'll be kicking myself when I leave. If I just showed you all right now that we have was it McLaren? Is McLaren the really expensive car? I forgot. What do they run, like $500,000?
Yeah, you give it to us.
All right, so let's say I have a McLaren out here, pretty new. I need to get rid of it. I just need to get rid of it. I'm going to sell it for like $50,000. Now, if you're in this room, who would say I got to figure out how to get this $50,000 like now? Who would do that? If your hand's not up, you are missing the mark on understanding financial literacy in this country. Well, like McLaren, man, I don't know what it is. That's not the point. The point is you have a $500,000 offer you can get for $50,000. I don't care if you want it or not. You can go buy it, flip it the next day for $100,000, make a 100% return, and people would die to buy that car for $100,000.
It's a no-brainer.
This is where people miss the mark on everything. I want you to feel stupid when you don't buy what I give you. When you walk out of here and you're thinking, "Damn, I should buy," because if they're feeling that stupid, they're probably gonna come back. I gotta do this. If they don't feel stupid leaving your room, then you haven't had a good enough offer. Make sense?
Wow.
That means high perceived value but low cost for you. Because perception is the key, right? By the way, when you think about a Rolex, what creates the value of this watch? $10,000, $20,000, $80,000 watches, people buy them. Why? Because it represents I won. People know when they look at you with a Rolex, you must be successful. They judge you in a millisecond by your watch, the way you dress, the way you walk. People don't get this. They don't understand how to brand. Rolex has built an industry based on telling a story that if I have a Rolex, people will respect me, and they do. You know how much value I get in the world by having custom suits and brands? They treat me different than they ever treated me when I wore my sweatpants and baseball hat. Am I different? No. I'm just wearing different stuff. But it sends a signal, because this world's been branded, and they know what it means. Period? Does it make sense? So when you create the offer, they have to go, wow, that's amazing. Okay? And then PowerPoint and Keynote best practice, you're going to learn those as well. On delivering the presentation, you're going to learn to deliver a 90-minute signature presentation. You're going to learn also how to hook them. So you hook in the beginning. I can ask questions. Raise your hand if you do this. Raise your hand if you do that. I can tell you a quote. I can give a statistic, give you a story. I can do a visual magic trick. Something that hooks and gets their attention is a hook. Then also authenticity. I'm going to tell you to be real. And let me give you an example as I become very authentic with you. I used to believe I was very authentic on stage, and I realized I was still hiding a part of myself because I had pain. When we have pain, we oftentimes cover it up, right? We hide ourselves. So growing up, my mom and dad were very dysfunctional. They had their own problems, and I don't blame them. I know that they were programmed just like everybody has been. But my dad hated a lot of people, and he's very violent. At 4 years old, I knew my dad, the energy. Kids are very smart. They might not know what you're saying as a parent, but they get the energy. He hated gay people. I knew I was gay at 4 years old. I didn't know what it meant even. I just knew that I was very different than the other kids. So as I got older at 12, 13, I was very miserable because I knew that I knew what I was now. And I knew they hated me, and if I ever came out with this, I would be ostracized and kicked out of my family, right? So what did I do? I hid. I didn't, Arctic fox. So I just tried to avoid it, and it was very hard. And so I became more miserable in life. The church even made it worse for me. And so I had all these things. And I was hiding because I was afraid to be who I am, and they told me I shouldn't be that. So I went out and tried to be what they wanted me to be. I ended up having a daughter. She's 24. I screwed up her life. Screwed up a lot of women's lives because I was trying to be what they wanted me to be. And what I learned is if you're not authentic, you're destroying your life. You're destroying other people's lives. Trying to live up to your parents' ideals. Trying to live up to your church or your society's ideals. You know who you are. But when you're dancing for them, you're not authentic. And I finally came out at 38 years old. Missed out on a big chunk of my life because I did. And then, right when I came out, I had an opportunity to speak for this gentleman in Atlanta. He'd been headhunting me for like 2 years, $1 million a year. And I came into his office, he said, "I heard you're gay." My friend told him. I said, "That's right." He goes, "How long have you been gay?" I'm like, "My whole life." I just didn't tell him that. He goes, "Well, you can't be gay on my stage. You have an agenda." So I have an agenda. My agenda's the same as it's always been. He goes, "We gotta go back in your closet." I said, "I'm not going back in the damn closet. Stick your $1 million, I don't need it." And I walked out, and it was hard because I needed the money, but I said, no more am I gonna hide. I'm gonna be me, and that's the period. And so what happened was so amazing after that. I mean, it took me time. I never told this story in front of any audience because I felt like, other speakers talk about their families and this and that. I could never do that. Until in Munich, Germany this year, 6 months ago, something like this, a lady pulled me out and called me on it. She's amazing, Karen. She's a speaker bureau head. She goes, you need to tell that story. If they don't like you, screw them. And she hit me with it hard, and I was like, you're right. I've been hiding too long with it. So I started to tell my story, and it changed a lot of things. It's amazing what's happened with people's lives. Not because of, it's just because when you're real with people, very few people are real. They're full of shit. They hide. So when I open myself, I become more vulnerable, which means I can take bullets, right? It can be painful. But it's called intimacy. Into me, you see. And when you see into me, you're either going to see what you like or what you don't. Maybe you'll face something that causes you to look at yourself and you don't like it. Or maybe you won't. But what I found is some people would leave my rooms. But guess what? I honor that. Because when they leave my room, it creates space for the right people to come back. You're wrong if you're leaving my room. You're not my tribe. That's okay. Go ahead, leave. It doesn't hurt me. In fact, it empowers me to know that every seat that empties, there's the people that are coming, and their lives are going to change, because truth is truth. And it's not about me being gay or you being whatever. It's about being real and owning it. And when I drove through Italy to tell my brother that I was gay after my mom died, you know what? I drove through a poppy field, and I stopped, because there was a bunch of red poppies in May, but one poppy wasn't red. But no other poppy was trying to turn it red. It just existed next to the other poppies. And I was like, that's what life's about, being who we are. So I encourage you to be very authentic in your audience. Be authentic, because very few people are. And the energy of that will change. Sometimes it won't be great, but other times you're going to realize it's worth it, because you're not using the energy to hide. The energy that you're using to hide is destroying lives. When you're using the energy to be who you are, you don't have that energy wasted, and you have power in you. Raise your hand if that makes sense. So I encourage you. You don't have to do it, I just encourage you. And trial closes. Throughout your presentation, you should be doing trial closes. Here's an example of a trial close. Raise your hand if you could see yourself on stages around the world. Raise your hand if you could see yourself doing that. In fact, raise your hand if you would like to impact a lot of people and change their lives. Raise your hands. So that's 2 trial closes. If I ask you 100 trial closes in a presentation, you keep seeing yourself on the stage. The more you see yourself on the stage, the more you realize I can do this. I can impact people. If I have the right people, the right training, the right education, if I have them help me, I can do this. Maybe it starts small, maybe it goes big, but now you start to believe because you're trial closing. False belief breakers. You got to look for the one false belief that causes people not to buy from you. What is it? Well, you got to find it and start to crush it and then rebuild the new belief. Because people are believing things that are not helping them. You have to challenge their beliefs. State management. So when you get up on stage, you get fearful. All that is energy. You call it fear and you label it. You are an alchemist. The energy that comes into you is just energy. Energy is just energy. Fast, low, high, slow. It's just energy. You label it fear, all of a sudden, amygdala. Why don't you label it excitement? Energy's coming up. I feel nervous. Good. I'm excited that I get to share with these people. Attention goes to you, not me. Now what happens is I go to my parasympathetic nervous system because I'm not caught up in me, which causes me to be fearful. I get caught up in you, and now my focus changes. That changes my state. If I'm holding down and afraid to look at people, my physiology is causing me fear. Watch people. See, I watched you all when you walk in. I watch the way you present yourself because it is an energetic pattern in the universe. It shows me who you are in life. I can watch people in any city and see who has money and who doesn't, who's successful and who's not, by the way they walk, the way they talk. Everything, they emit a pattern in the universe. I never used to walk and talk and be confident because I didn't believe in myself. But once I changed all that, things started happening differently. It's the pattern, right? It's an energetic pattern. You can change your pattern. Breathing. A lot of people freak out. They start breathing very shallow, and we're fearful. We breathe where? High or low? High. High or low when you're breathing? High. Fast or slow?
Fast.
Fast and high, you're fearful. Brain shuts down. Can't access resources. Do you know when you're in fear, your brain cannot think? It shuts it down because all energy needs to be put onto cortisol, adrenaline, for you to run, fight, or freeze. It cannot think because you're going into the survival mode. But when you breathe differently, it changes your state. So, who's ever had sex? Now, how do you breathe when you're having sex? Do it right now. You guys are so freaked out. They're gonna see me. Right? Even the sound is life force. So when you're breathing deep, I'm not talking about the quickie sex. I'm talking about the full-on passionate sex. That's a creative energy, isn't it? So what you're doing when you're breathing in prana, life force. It animates your body. Then you're dying when you breathe out. It's consistently living and dying. And when you're breathing, you're bringing in energy of creation. And when you actually have sex, you're creating. You're in creation mode. But you can turn the energy into creation of helping people. You can turn that energy by transforming it, transmuting it, transfiguring it into anything. So then you help other people by using the life force that you breathe. And then your parasympathetic nervous system will actually open and allow you to teach. Make sense? State management critical. Neuro-linguistic programming, we teach you language patterns. If you've never heard of NLP, it is the science of persuasion. Most people don't know how to use it. We understand the value of it and everything that you do to change who you are, change what you do, and change others. And you can do this in large or small groups. We're going to teach you how to use room dynamics to change the energy in a room. For example, if the room gets really kind of low energy, you might hear me say something like this. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five, and say, "You're a winner, baby." Do it now. Do it now.
You're a winner, baby.
Who feels a little energy shift, right? People laugh, a little bit more energy. So you do things like this to keep the energy up. Movement, directive movement. As a speaker, you want to have intentional movement. Too many people move out of being nervous. Tonality, changing your voice tones up and down so it doesn't become monotone. Body language. Did you know that every human being judges somebody within a millisecond?
Yes.
I love when people say, "I don't judge people." Bullshit. It is natural in your subconscious mind, and it's been proven over and over. You judge people whether they're honest, just by their facial expressions, by the way they look, by the shape of their face, they get it. Sorry, some people have shapes that just look like not trustworthy. It's just the way our brains work. Sorry, it's just the way it works. So for the people like that, you got to work on your expressions more and openness more, because otherwise they think it's true. We do this. Stage presence, all this is really important. Then closing and calls to action. So you're going to learn a lot of stuff in this 3-day training. And drivers. So drivers is just something to get you to the back table quicker, get you to buy something quicker. It's like a bonus. So what you're going to learn at the 3-day mentorship, you're going to learn how to find your tribe, your audience. There's an audience waiting for you. And if you don't step into your power, they might never have the change that they're waiting for. Crafting your presentation. We're going to teach you how to create, produce, and market information products to give to the world. How to brand yourself so that you become the go-to brand in your arena. How to use emotional triggers to cause people to buy from you. Alessia is going to take you through a process on that. How to create high-value services, and how to increase your credibility. So these are very important things chunked up that you're going to learn. Also, how to impact the world and be a change agent. Okay, so that's what you're going to learn. And there's more, but that's kind of the chunked up level of areas you're going to learn. Now, online and offline. Once you learn to do this, you can do it online. Who would love to do this at home in your pajamas and impact the world? Okay, who wants to do it naked? Sit your hands down. All right. Let me tell you this quick story, then we'll wrap up. Another few more minutes. You guys okay with another like 10 minutes or so?
Yeah.
This is my mom. I wanted to share this story very briefly because this changed my life. My mom was my reason for me to go out and make money because I wanted to take care of my family. They never had money. My mom worked her butt off really to make sure we had a roof over our head. She didn't believe in me pretty much, but you know, she did the best she could. When I came back from Seattle in 2000, I had made a tremendous amount of money. I was very successful. And I was moving to Florida, and I wanted to see my mom, and I was like, "Your time now." And the very 2 weeks I was home, my mom was coughing. And I said, "It's a very bad cough." I said, "How long have you been coughing?" She said, 6 months. I said, "Have you been to the doctor?" She said, "No." You see, her mom died of lung cancer in 1973. I made my mom go to the doctor. And after 3 days of findings, they found a lemon-sized tumor in her lung. And she walked out of the office at 61 years old, looked at me crying, and said, "Vince, I have lung cancer, and I don't have long." And she was broken. And I looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, I did this for you." I said, "I'm not going to stop. I'm going to scour the entire planet to figure out how to keep you alive. Take care of yourself because I don't care what it takes. I've got time, I've got money, I'm going to figure this out." And I started studying cancer 12 hours a day. And what I learned about the cancer system in America makes me sick because they don't want to cure us. They want to treat us. There's no intention to cure anything. They want to make the money off of us. And when I learned that the food companies are behind this, the disgusting big companies in America are behind this with their money machine, with the drug companies, I was so disgusted at what I learned. And I started to question doctors. I started to question everything in the system. And I saw it take out my grandma in a year with chemo and radiation and the pain. So I put my attention on Panchakarma, Ayurveda, hemisynchronization, juicing, fasting, Laetrile, the way we think, the way we treat others. And I started to realize and learn that we create our disease with the way we think, the way we eat, the way we breathe. And I showed my mom her criticism of everybody else was actually a cancer. The separation of one human to another is a cancer cell forgetting who it is, and it attacks the host. That's what the news is doing. You wonder why cancer is going up? Look at what's being programmed into the minds of the masses. Bullshit. The fact is, everybody's different, but we're all the same because we're different. And we're just cells. And we attack each other. And that is cancer. When we start to wake up to the oneness, the law of one, that you are me, and I treat you like me, no matter what your differences are, then we start to have power. But they don't want the power. They want the money. So the cycle is the money machine. And the problem is, it makes them a lot of money. They're never going to fix it. So I shared with her this, and she goes, what would you do? And I said, I would never do that. I would do this. She goes, I'm going to do what I'm going to do what you suggest. She never listened to me my whole life. The doctors did not like her choice, and they attacked her. And they told her she's going to die in 3 months if they listened to her quacky son. But she didn't, anyway, she did what she felt inside finally. This picture's 3 years later. First time in her life she's ever been to a beach. She came to my house in Florida. We walked the beach together at 64 years old. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, what is it in life you've always wanted? And I thought she was going to tell me all these things. And she looked at me and said, Vince, all I've ever wanted is to be treated special. Like I matter. Because your dad never treated me that way, and I never had anything new. I said, I understand. But you do matter. What do you want? She goes, I've always had a dream of staying in a 5-star hotel in Denver for the weekend. You live in Denver. She goes, I know, but I can get room service. I knew what she wanted, but she was afraid to say it. So I sent her home. I called her best friend, Lori. I said, Lori, would you like to go with my mom? She goes, Vince, I can't. I said, Lori, I'm paying for everything. She goes, oh, I'd love to go. I sent them for 10 days to Hawaii. I had a limo pick them up. I had the leis put around their neck. I had the room set up to overlook the ocean. I took care of them like rock stars. My mom deserved to be treated amazing. She called me crying that night and said, Vince, in my entire life, I'm 65 years old. I've never, ever experienced anything like this. She told me about her day at Pearl Harbor and the room and the amazement in the limousine, and she'd never been in a limo. And she was crying. And she said, you know what, Vince, I'm 65, and I'm alive with cancer only because you're my son. She said, all the women at work want you to be their son. And she started to share with me and break down and apologize for all the things that she missed in my life. And I said, Mom, I believe there's a purpose for this cancer. That number one, you've learned to listen to the internal voice and stop listening to people outside of yourself for your power. You have your power. And number two, I believe it was for me to wake up, to be present, because I keep living someday in the future. And to look at my mom and to know any second she could be gone. I connected in a very present state. And we had amazing things happen in the time that we were together. And that is so powerful to me. So that's what I did it for. Before we hung up the phone, she was crying. She goes, I have one more important question. I said, yes. She goes, can I order room service? I said, yes, you can. So that's what we do it for. I'm going to wrap up with this and then just the mentorship. This is Mahima. She came to our training. She actually was doing the event in Zurich, Switzerland. She basically had a business as a meditation coach. In Zurich, she was making about 4,000 francs a month. She told Kane she didn't think this training would be for her because she didn't think he understood her business. And when he found out she was a meditation coach, she said, well, you know, we don't make a lot of money. Now, is that true or a belief?
Belief.
And therefore it manifested. He goes, well, how much you making? 4,000. Okay. He goes, I bet you we can double if not triple your revenues like that. You know what Mahima said? She said, you Americans always say that bullshit. So what happened is, he said, listen, I know Americans always say that, but we will take the risk off you. Go get a ticket, come to our training. At the end of the training, if it's not for you, we'll give you your money back. She goes, that's fair. She went to the training, implemented what she learned the very first month, just from the 3-day training. She doubled her revenues to $8,000 a month. She's never made that much, just from implementing what we taught her. She applied to be mentored. We accepted her after interviewing her, and within 4 months, she was making $40,000 a month. What we did is we realized her problem was she was charging by the hour. Some of you are doing this, it's the worst way to make money. We're going to teach you how to package, price, and promote. She didn't understand brand or visibility. Therefore, we created a better brand for her, a more visible brand. She didn't understand how to message to her market. She did not know people would pay $50,000 to learn how to be mindful and meditate. You see, a lot of you people are undervaluing yourselves. You believe that you're not enough. Therefore, your prices show you're not enough. You're a Timex. When you understand who you are, people will pay, and they'll be happy to pay. They'll throw money at you. Why? Because you've learned to create value that they'll trade money for. Don't ever think people won't pay. Money is meant to be traded for value. Write that down. Smart people trade money for value. And when you teach somebody to meditate and they pay $50,000, they become mindful, they take it very seriously, and their lives change. If it's free, they don't take it seriously. And it's cheap. So look what her testimonial says. She's undercharging. Look at this. We rebranded her to the Mahiba mindset. She's growing. We invest in her now. Listen to her testimonial.
Hi, my name is Mahima Klinger, the founder of the Mahima Mindset. I'm an international best-selling author of the book, The Inner Peace Formula.